Congresswoman Debbie Mucarsel-Powell represents Florida's 26th district. She joins me today. Congresswoman, thanks for being on. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, David.
The Florida vote is very, very interesting. Florida as a state may well determine who wins the presidential election, Joe Biden or Donald Trump. And then within Florida, your district may actually signal the way that the state goes. It's a very interesting district, as you've mentioned in other conversations we've had, nearly 70% Latino voters. Talk a little bit about the dynamics there in Florida. What are the most important issues to Floridians?
Well, first, let me say that you're absolutely correct. I think that the state of Florida is going to be one of the most important states in this election. The road to the White House begins in Florida, and yes, it starts in Florida's 26th district. The top issue here has been and continues to be healthcare access. I represent an area where 70% of the people that live in my district are Latinos, Hispanic, from the Hispanic community, very diverse. Ecuadorians, Colombians, Argentinians, Mexicans, many of them are Cuban Americans. And for them, during this pandemic has hit us very hard here in Miami-Dade County. We became the epicenter of COVID during the summer. And it's because of failed leadership locally and at the state level. And many people lost their jobs. They didn't have access to quality health care. And the stakes of this election have become even higher now that the Senate is trying to push for that nomination to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, as you know, is going to be hearing the lawsuit to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And in my district, David, we have the second largest number of people that get their health care through the ACA. 300,000 individuals in my district have pre-existing conditions. So if the ACA is repealed, you would see millions of Americans losing their health coverage, and so many here in my district that would lose that. And I can tell you that the energy in South Florida, it has gone up significantly in the past 2 months. People are out there, they're engaged. There are so many grassroots movements going on in South Florida. They are coming out for me, they're coming out for Biden. They understand what's at stake at this election. And because of their care, because they know who's gonna protect their care, I think that the energy has really gone way above what anybody expected.
Within the American electorate, there are different groups that tend to vote one way or the other. And as a general rule, three of the most left-leaning groups are Jewish Americans, African Americans, and Latino or Hispanic Americans, generally. Within that last group, Cuban Americans tend to be the most conservative, and there seems to be this kind of reflexive anti-Castro thing that goes on and that we've seen. Can you address a little bit, your district is the perfect place, epicenter to see all of these different groups, as you mentioned, and their priorities and voting interests. Does the perspective of the Cuban American electorate seem different this time around?
Yeah. There is a group of Cuban Americans that are very much in favor of Donald Trump. And that's because there has been a lot of misinformation spread about the Democrats. They are instigating fear, saying that, accusing Democrats of being socialists, which is completely false. And for Cuban Americans and for a lot of people that have fled violent regimes in Latin America, this is scary. And they've been using that message to divide, to control that vote. But I can tell you that there's also a significant group of Cuban Americans who are 100% behind Joe Biden. They know that Donald Trump has been an ally of Vladimir Putin. And let's back up for a second. Vladimir Putin is propping up the narco regime in Venezuela, the Maduro regime. They are propping up Cuba. They're one of their top allies in Cuba. And Trump is standing right next to them. So Cuban Americans here and many Latin Americans understand that the person that they need to fear is Donald Trump, because we're seeing so many signs of someone that's trying to grab onto power, who's doing whatever he can, going towards the road of an authoritarian regime. So Cuban Americans here are now standing up and saying, no, we do not support Donald Trump. We are with Biden. There's a group called Cubanos con Biden, but there's also Ecuadorianos con Biden, Venezolanos con Biden. And that's been a grassroots movement that has started really by all the Latin Americans that are living down here that have said, enough, we're not going to follow these lies anymore. So I'm very optimistic and excited to see what's happening here in South Florida.
So should we be concerned about the safety of vote by mail? What do you see as, again, taking into consideration all of the different reasons one might vote one way or the other? What is your message to people about how it is that they should vote if they really want to feel good about feeling that their vote is likely to be counted?
What I tell everyone here is your vote is still going to be safe and secure. Do not let anyone distract you or make you think otherwise. Our systems are secure. We have been conducting oversight along with the FBI. We have been in communication with our supervisor of elections here locally. So if you need to vote by mail because of health conditions, because you're not here physically, mail that envelope today. Sign it, seal it, mail it. That's what we're saying. Just send your ballot early. If you can vote early, we start early voting October 19th. And you can do that securely as well. Wear a mask, use your hand sanitizer, but vote. Whatever the plan is for you to vote, vote. Vote in the way that's safest for you, for your family, vote. Every vote counts. David, in 2018, I had a colleague, or one of the candidates in Texas, who lost her election by 900 votes, Gina Ortiz from Texas, who I think welcome into Congress in 2020. 900 votes. Every single vote counts. Again, if you have your ballot, mail it in, sign it, mail it in, send it. It's safe. It's secure. If you can vote in person, vote early. Don't wait until November 3rd. We have 2 weeks of early voting here in Miami-Dade and in Monroe County. We can change the direction of this country. And I have a lot of optimism because so many young people are excited. They're engaged. They're telling their parents, their abuelos, tíos, primos, primas, everyone to come out and vote. And we're going to see that. We're going to see a huge turnout in 2020.
So this is speculative. It's just your opinion. But when do you believe we will know the election results?
If we vote decisively in Florida, if we have a decisive win in Florida, that's going to be a huge indicator that Joe Biden will be our next president. If Joe Biden wins Florida, of course. That's what I'm referring to. If we don't know, it could take weeks. And so my recommendation is let all of us expect that. Don't fret. Don't get anxious about it. Let's count every single vote. That's our democracy. We can be patient. If we've waited this long, we can wait a couple of more weeks. But my hope is that Florida is so decisive for Joe Biden that will be a pretty clear indicator of who's going to take the White House in January.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting election, extremely high stakes. Congresswoman Debbie Mucarsel-Powell, representing Florida's 26th district. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you, David.